What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Daily Pursuit podcast episode. You are live with Coach Morgan here. Today, I want to talk about feelings. Feelings. This is always laugh and smile with this because as a business owner, as someone in the health and wellness space and training space, exercise space, feelings come up a lot. Feelings come up a lot in what we do. How people feel about exercise, how they feel about, their life and all that's going on with it. So there's a lot that comes up around feelings. But I want to talk today about the idea that feelings are a chance for us to examine our lives. They're a chance for us to look within and to really start to dig into what drives us, what motivates us, where there's opportunities for us. What's up, Dean? Happy to have you on here. And so feelings for me is an interesting thing because I was talking earlier with a client today and she brought up this notion of like pushing through when we have these feelings about something or in training, these feelings pop up around what we're doing. And there's this notion of just like pushing through. And we were talking about the idea of you have to sit in it. You have to sit in those feelings. And when I say feelings, it's not just always just like happy, sad, whatever. It's the feelings that you could have physically. It's the feelings you have emotionally, spiritually, all right? It's those things that as we're going through experiences, if we try to just run and hide from them, if we try to just not look at them, because again, feelings they're us, right? They're something that we choose to have. Right? We have feelings, they come up for us based on our previous experiences, based on the choices that we have in our head. We choose to feel a certain way. We can choose to change how we feel in a moment. And I think often we kind of avoid it. We avoid sitting in it and observing it and thinking about it, right? When we are lonely or angry or anxious, right? Like, do we sit and actually observe those feelings and really consider how are we feeling right now in the moment? What is the root cause of this? Is this something that is stemming from, other aspects of our life right now? I know that for me, the last couple of days, there's been some different changes in what we might have to do as a business. And I had my moments where I was angry and I was frustrated. And I then had to sit in that. If I wanted to do something about it, if I wanted to understand it and actually have some control, I needed to sit in it. And I needed to acknowledge, like, what is the root cause of me feeling this right now? Is this something that's external to me? Or is this something that's more internal to my beliefs or my experiences in the past, something that I've gone through that's sort of bringing up this emotion right now, this feeling right now that I'm having? And why do I really feel that? What is really going on? And that's a tough thing to do. I understand. I'm making this seem like it's just a simple thing. You ask yourself and you'll have an answer. It's not. I understand that it's a tough thing to do. We have to ask ourselves some tougher questions. We have to give ourselves some space and some freedom to dig into it and to acknowledge and understand it. And we have to start to ask, what can we do to overcome? What can we do to work through this? What areas of opportunity do we have to step forward and become a stronger, more resilient person if we're feeling kind of, if we're feeling kind of weak or incapable in a moment? What can we do to feel more empowered and more social if we're feeling kind of lonely, right? What can we do if we're feeling angry and we want to just work towards some happiness in our life? And something that's just really simple that just popped in my mind right now, a colleague of mine, Dean, that's in the UK, he just popped on the live here, and he said this morning in a Clubhouse call, a simple thing that you can do is to help you progress in your journey is to smile. And that is something that I think is just so profound and so powerful when we're feeling a certain way, is just to literally change your facial structure, smile, right? Putting on a smile on your face can have a profound impact just on you emotionally and how you feel. Even if there's more work to do, which there often is, but just standing in your feelings and going, I'm feeling this certain way. And the little step I'm just going to take right now is I'm just going to smile. Just because putting a smile on literally changes how we function, literally changes the chemistry in our body, right? Just that simple act of smiling can cause you to have a literal change in your body. And so it's not about the feelings that you're having that are the problem in all of this, right? Feelings aren't the problem for us, right? Feelings, as I said, are based off of things that we've had in the past. They're based off of previous experiences that we've had in our life that are directing where we go, right? They're directing how we behave. They're directing the steps that we take, right? And that is a really powerful thing to sit in and to acknowledge that I'm feeling this way right now. And I'm feeling this way because of previous experiences, my subconscious mind moving me down a certain path of behaviors and towards certain outcomes because of what I've gone through. Those are stimulating these feelings that I'm having now, right? Our subconscious mind is just predicting on a constant basis, as I've said many times before, and it's going to find the simplest solution, the simplest path that requires the least amount of energy for you to get the result that it predicts you need right now, right? Not what is right, wrong, good, or bad, just simply what it predicts is the thing that you need right now based on prior experiences. And so it just wants to conserve energy so that you can live longer and go about your day. However, that might not be what you truly need right now. And that's why standing in your feelings and really understanding it and start to asking yourself some tough questions about it is where we need to go, so that we don't just fall into this loop pattern and habit continuously around those feelings and those emotions that we have. So we need to begin to change our mind, reprogram our mind. And this is something that we can do, right? We have the plasticity, right? We have that brain plasticity to be able to change patterns, connections, synapses that were created due to previous experiences and that cause our brain to tend to push us towards certain predictions and certain outcomes and habits and behaviors just because it's what it's used to and it's what it's expecting. But we need to change that observation. We need to start to reprogram observations or the subconscious by doing new observations, new things that make it go, oh, well, maybe this is a possibility. Oh, well, they're doing this again, right? The same inputs are coming in again. They're new inputs, but it's the same. We just did that. And we start to create new behaviors, right? And through just simple, basic actions, simple, basic habits, simple, basic behavior changes, you can start to create new predictions. You can start to create new feelings in response to certain outcomes, in response to certain things that are going on in your life. And so, do you check in with yourself every day to see if you're on track with what you're wanting to do? Now, this might seem separate from the feelings that you have, but if you start to check in with yourself every single day with what you're wanting to accomplish, the vision that you have for your life, you start to create a behavior of checking in. That behavior of checking in starts to create a vision and starts to create a habit of thoughtfulness around what you're wanting to accomplish, which starts to create certain actions that you take to move you towards it. Because as I've said in the past, what we think and what we believe becomes our reality. What we think and what we believe in our subconscious mind, and even in our conscious mind, starts to turn into our reality because our brain wants to provide that experience. If we constantly think we're going to fail, we're going to fail, we're going to fail, we say those words, we think those words, right? We believe those words, we're going to fail, right? If we feel, I feel sad, I feel sad, I feel sad, I feel sad, I feel weak, I feel weak, I feel weak, I feel weak, I feel weak in our training, we're always going to feel weak because our brain is going to push us towards it. Now, again, there's no part of me that's sitting here saying this is just an easy process. Sitting in your emotions, sitting in the uncomfortableness, sitting in those feelings is not an easy process. I had an amazing conversation with a client just the other day about this. How when she first came in, it was uncomfortable, right? It was nerve-wracking, right? When she first came in, it was coming in because there was a desire to change more so physical aspects of herself. However, what was unlocked and what was understood after sitting in the uncomfortableness and doing the work, right? Because the work that I do with my clients, I really hold them to sitting in that uncomfortableness and sitting in their feelings and acknowledging them and asking questions about where that's coming from. And doing that work and going through that process, it started to pull back these layers of understanding. Like, this wasn't about just physical stuff. This was far deeper. This was far more about the life and the experiences and what's led to this, and all these different factors were at play. And that comes from taking the time, that maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, many years of just sitting and constantly working on acknowledging your feelings, acknowledging where you're at, acknowledging why you're feeling a certain way, not with judgment, just with acknowledgement. And that's a skill. That's something that we have to work on. And it's something I've worked on for years now, right? I've said it in many, many posts of mine where I used to work for myself, by myself, right? For many years, most of my career. And over the last, half decade, I have gone from working for myself, by myself, to having a team of 20 coaches, mentoring many other coaches, having 20, 30 clients that I'm programming and connecting with, right, on a regular basis. So the ability to sit in my feelings and acknowledge my feelings, because there's a lot of shit that's happening around me on a day-to-day basis, right? Business, running a business, managing coaches, helping them develop their careers, working with my clients, building a family, creating a life. Like, there's lots of stuff. There's lots of things. There's lots of feelings involved with that. And if I didn't work on the process of when I feel something, when something happens along my journey in my business, my personal life, in my clients coaching, in my mentorship program, whatever it is, if something happens in that and it causes me to feel a certain way, and I didn't sit in that and go, okay, where is this feeling coming from? Why am I feeling this way? And do I have every reason to sit in this and feel this way? Is it conducive for me? Is it helping me? And, do I have the power? Do I have power sitting in this feeling? Or am I feeling this way and just hanging out in this feeling and being upset or miserable or whatever? Does that actually provide me power to move forward? Right? And feelings can be the opposite. I feel happy. I feel proud. I feel excited. Those are also things that I've had to work on acknowledging and sitting in, right? I used to never give myself credit for anything. I used to never give myself credit for shit. And I would have clients and people be like, you should be so proud. And it was because I never really sat in it. When something happened that I accomplished, I would never sit in that and own it until one of my mentors pushed me and really challenged me to do it. To where she said, you need to just when I was acknowledged as one of the best trainers in Canada. When I was acknowledged as one of the best trainers in Canada, my mentor said to me, you need to sit in this, acknowledge what that means, and feel that feeling of being proud and own that shit. Because I was just I did this thing, and that's cool, but it's all good, right? And I'm just downplaying it. And she's like, no, sit in that excitement. Are you excited about it? I was like, yeah, I'm so fucking proud of myself for it, right? I'm so excited about it. I think this is awesome. I feel very honored to be selected in that way. And she's like, awesome. Now sit in that, acknowledge that, feel that, understand that, right? Where's this root cause of this emotion come from? Both the feeling of excitement and the feeling of being I just don't want to acknowledge this, right? Where are those both coming from? I needed to sit in that because that allowed me to step forward. And I'll never forget the moment that my mentor said to me, she was like, You are being little Morgan right now. When I wouldn't acknowledge my feelings, when I wouldn't acknowledge myself for both ends of those feelings, when I wouldn't sit in it, I became little Morgan. I became this person that was just reserved, held back, timid. I didn't fucking own my shit. I didn't own me as a coach, right? I was just little Morgan, right? I was this little guy that was just kind of like, yeah, I do some stuff. It's cool. But it wasn't until I really stood in my feelings, owned them, acknowledged them, both, excited, happy, high level feelings and low level feelings and angry feelings and all the feelings, right? It wasn't until I started owning those and standing in those that I really stepped into myself. And I'm still learning that today, right? I'm still developing that today, right? The work that I'm doing now with clients over the last couple of years has really done some amazing things. And I'm like having these breakthroughs and these profound moments with it. And I'm still working on the idea of like, wow, I'm really creating something with this. And those feelings of like, ooh, like this sort of excitedness about it. But I have to sit in that. I have to stand in that. And I have to acknowledge it because that helps me continue to move forward. That helps me create something even better. When I have the feelings of frustration, why am I frustrated? Because this isn't working, that isn't working. Okay, cool. So feel frustrated right now, but then what can we do? What do I need to do? And often it comes down to that, right? More often than not, 99% of the time, when I have certain feelings, it comes back to I can do something about it. As my colleague Dean said, I could smile. I could take this action step. I could record something for my team. I could do a lesson for my team, a training on my team. I could do something for this client. I could have a better communication skills. I could do something. But it took standing in those feelings. It took acknowledging those feelings and asking questions of myself of those feelings in order for me to work through it versus just feeling a certain thing and just pushing through it, right? Without actually acknowledging. It doesn't mean that we don't have to push in life, right? It doesn't mean that we don't have to put our head down and just work. But we also need to learn through that process. We also need to learn about what is going on. So that's why I say when you check in with yourself, am I doing things today that are pushing me towards and moving that needle towards the goals and the vision of my life that I have? You then start to, that trickles down. It's like throwing a pebble in the water and the ripples start to come out. You start to see that effect over the long term. You start to see that effect that it has on all other aspects of your life. And this is when you truly unlock this state of being that allows you to just like, it opens up your eyes to possibility of self. Does not mean there won't be challenges. Does not mean you're not going to feel negative, quote unquote, emotions, right? It just means that you now are better equipped to work through them, understand them, and process them. And you're far more disciplined when things come up because you've created new behaviors. You've created new actions towards yourself and towards these occurrences in your life and these experiences. So the last thing I want to leave you with is at the end of your week, I want you to ask yourself a question, okay? And that question is, did the work I did this week move me backward or forwards towards my goal? Did the work I moved this week move me backwards or forwards towards my goal? Once you answer that, I then want you to acknowledge the feelings that you've had during the week, where they've stemmed from, and where there's areas of opportunity for you to move forward from. I think you're going to start to see connections where the work you do in the week, when you have those weeks and it moves you towards your goal, you'll see that even when you have feelings of frustration or whatever, you do something about it. You acknowledge them, you were able to assess them and move forward from them. And when you have a week where you move backwards from your goal, you maybe didn't sit or stand in your feelings enough. You didn't spend the time to really acknowledge them and work through them. So, did the work you did this week move you backward or forward towards your goal? Ask yourself. Sit in those feelings, stand in those feelings, walk in those feelings, right? And start to ask some deeper questions of yourself and allow yourself the opportunity to change the processes in your mind, to change the flow that occurs, to change that observation and that prediction of your mind and of your thoughts. By doing that, we start to activate these other layers of our brain that allow us to expand our reach, allow us to expand what we do as a coach, as an individual, no matter what realm you work in. We're able to truly take hold of our power of our mind and execute on a regular basis. So think about what I just said over the last 20 minutes here. Review it, observe it. What's up, Norman from Montreal? How you doing? Allow yourself the opportunity to stand in your feelings, acknowledge them, ask yourself questions about them. Where are they stemming from? And then start to work that process. Start to change those behaviors that you have on a day-to-day basis. That's it for me. Level up.